we're seeing who the best fighter in the world is, and we're getting people to watch so that the fans can appreciate something that I find to be the most loved thing in my life, next to my wife, you know? So, I don't know. I think it's a shame when that shit happens, especially when it's like an ego thing. But also at the same time, I don't really think that that's too much of what Jon Jones is doing. I'm more speaking in terms of what I kind of see in other people. I think,
why is that fight not happening?
Well, it could be for two reasons. It's either that Jon Jones is using a strategy to have more money.
You can say it, GSP. Go for it. Come on, say what you want to say.
But I think that's why he's doing it. You know, if he's doing it just to hold the title, to serve the wave.
Joe Rogan recently shared that Jon Jones is reportedly demanding a staggering $110 million to step into the octagon with Tom Aspinall right on the White House lawn next year. Even in the unpredictable world of the UFC, this proposal has taken everyone by surprise. What once sounded like a far-fetched rumor is now picking up steam, and so is the backlash. Jones, who announced his retirement just a month after UFC 303, now seems to be plotting a dramatic return. But the price tag attached to his comeback is sparking major controversy.
Looks like Jon Jones finally wants to fight Tom Aspinall, but this time at the White House. I told you guys that Jon Jones was playing chess, not checkers, this entire time. Someone just tweeted this at Jon Jones saying, "Ducking Tom Aspinall, ? Best decision you ever made, ? Jon responded, "Choosing when to attack and where you want the battlefield to be is not ducking, my friend." Try telling every single one of you that Jon Jones was never ducking Tom Aspinall. It's very clear here that Jon Jones is playing chess.
Jon Jones's reported demand for $110 million has quickly become one of the most divisive stories in MMA. This year, some believe it's a power move that aligns with Jones's legacy as one of the sport's biggest stars, but not everyone has impressed us. Facially former rival Daniel Cormier. On his 3 Rounds podcast, Cormier didn't hold back. "At first, I thought he was just joking around," Cormier said. "I figured he was teasing fans, knowing how badly they want to see him face Tom Aspinall." His frustration was clear. Why play with people's hopes like that? He added, suggesting that Jones has made a habit of stirring the pot without delivering. For Cormier, Rogan, and many others, the issue goes beyond money. It's about showing respect for the fans, the sport, and the heavyweight contenders left in limbo waiting for answers.
Think of the star Aspinall would have been if we just would have got that fight over with right away. Think of the star Ngannou still would have been for this company if you just would have had that fight and moved it on. And then you have an epic rivalry between those two, Aspinall and Ngannou. Like, the years and years of amazing heavyweight fights could have been happening if Jon Jones just wasn't a petulant child, and if the UFC wasn't just the, "Oh no, it's fine, he's just finding himself," like, just so annoying. And
Jon Jones' surprise retirement in June 2025 sent shockwaves through the heavyweight division after repeatedly avoiding a title clash with Tom Aspinall, who had solidified his position by defending the interim belt against Curtis Blades in 2024. Jones vacated the title and stepped away from competition. UFC President Dana White, who had been hyping up a unification bout for months, was forced to pivot. Aspinall was then officially crowned the undisputed champion. But just 2 weeks after stepping away, Jones filed the paperwork to rejoin the UFC's anti-doping testing pool, fueling speculation that his retirement may have been more of a strategic pause than a true exit.
But what did you make of it when you heard Jon calling out Alex of all people?
You know, I think he does do this because, you know, Alex Perez now he's like big star in the UFC, you know, everybody loves him, so he know what he's doing, you know, but I believe he should to fight against Aspinall, but I think he a little bit afraid of him, you know, because Aspinall is someone who can really stop him and beat him.
Yeah,
that's what made me to believe, but that's what I think that
Speculation went into overdrive after Joe Rogan's recent comments. Now, talk of a massive UFC-style mega event taking place at the White House in 2026 with Jon Jones facing off against Tom Aspinall's dominating headlines. It would be a spectacle like no other, a legendary venue, a once-in-a-generation fighter, and a jaw-dropping $110 million price tag. While some fans are fired up about the possibility, others are slamming the idea, calling it over the top, and disconnected from the spirit of the sport.
And say, no, you're not going to take this. And do you know what Jon Jones did? You have it. I don't want to fight. You can have it. This is unbelievable. The greatest of all time. What a load of shit. I'm sorry. Never going to call that him the GOAT ever again. Because being the greatest of all time is not just about winning. And that's what Jon Jones doesn't understand. It's about how you conduct yourself throughout the whole of your career. Are you willing to fight the biggest challenges?
Critics are calling out Jon Jones for using the spotlight to inflate his value to unrealistic levels. He hasn't stepped into the octagon since 2023, and his extended absence, combined with avoiding a matchup when the division was primed for a showdown. With Tom Aspinall's frustrating fans who once held him in high regard, either fight or step aside, Daniel Cormier said bluntly. From Cormier's point of view, this is just more of the same. Jones pulling back, teasing returns with vague social media posts, making outrageous demands when interest begins to fade. This time, the $110 million figure feels like more than a patty-it's a power move. Jones seems to be sending a message that he's in control. But the MMA community, they're not buying it.
I was absolutely confident that Jones versus Aspinall was done and we were going to do it. And here we are today, so you never know. I don't get into it until it actually happens.
Is there a fight that you almost made that didn't happen?
Aspinall Jones.
The
fight was done. Everybody had agreed to it. Everybody agreed to the whatever, and then Jones came back and said, "I'm going to retire."
Tom Aspinall has remained largely composed through the chaos, staying focused on training and making media rounds that highlight his current status as the heavyweight division's top dog with an impressive 15-3 record. The British standout seems to be hitting his prime. Fans are buzzing to see how his explosive athleticism, his fast hands, and poise under pressure would measure up against Jones's high-level fight IQ. It's an unpredictable style. But with each delay from Jones, public support continues to tilt further in Aspinall's favor. Since Joe Rogan's comments went viral, social media has been ablaze. Some fans accuse Jones of ducking the fight by pricing himself out, calling the $110 million figure delusional. Others think it's a calculated chess move, forcing UFC leadership, especially Dana White, into a tight spot. Whether you see him as avoiding risk or playing smart, one thing's clear. Jon Jones knows how to shift the spotlight and bend the game to his will.
The star Aspinall would have been if we just would have got that fight over with right away. Think of the star Ngannou still would have been for this company if you just would have had that fight and moved it on. And then you have an epic rivalry between those two, Aspinall and Ngannou. Like the years and years of amazing heavyweight fights could have been happening if Jon Jones just wasn't a petulant child, and if the UFC wasn't just the, oh no, it's fine, he's just finding himself, just so annoying and so...
Whatever the motivation behind Jon Jones's massive demand, one thing's for sure, he's back in the spotlight, though not all of it is positive. Former fighters are chiming in with their own takes. Chael Sonnen took a jab, joking that if Jones wants $110 million, then Tom Aspinall should be asking for Buckingham Palace. Brendan Schaub, speaking on The Schaub Show, called the number completely out of touch, noting that no UFC fighter has ever earned more than $10 million in base pay. You're not Floyd Mayweather, Schaub said. That kind of paycheck just isn't happening. But not everyone is on board with the criticism. Some fans are defending Jones, saying he's earned the right to name his price. He's the GOAT, one Reddit user wrote. If Michael Jordan wanted to suit up for one last game, you wouldn't try to...
Is there a fighter in MMA or the UFC that you just find absolutely insufferable? Because for me, it's Jon Jones, and there is no close second. Jon Jones defended his heavyweight title against a retired 42-year-old Stipe Miocic back in November. Ever since then, Jon has been saying, what has Tom Aspinall done to deserve to fight me? Besides Tom being the interim champ and having a defense with that belt, Jon has just found every possible way to not fight Tom.
But that's a massive if. Jon Jones still hasn't named an opponent, picked a date, or committed to a full training camp. His interest seems more rooted in symbolism than in competition, and that's exactly what frustrates people like Din Thomas. The mosts, not the comeback itself, that's the issue. It's the misdirection. It's the constant teasing and the manipulation of fan expectations that's wearing thin. Now, pressure falls on Dana White to clear the fog and bring clarity to the heavyweight division. If Jones is serious about returning, it's time for pen to meet paper and Tom. Aspinall should be across from him. If he's not, then it's time to move on. Fighters like Aspinall, Cyril Gann, Jailton Almeida deserve their moment without waiting on a shadow. Jon Jones' story has always been layered. His greatness has never been in question, but how he's managed it has left many disappointed. From suspensions and legal troubles to retirements that didn't stick, he's often been his own biggest obstacle. Now, with the spotlight once again on him, thanks to the possibility of a historic White House event, Jones has one final opportunity to close his career on a legendary note or prove his doubters right once and for all. What do you think? Is Jones coming back for real or just playing the game again? Drop your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to subscribe for more MMA updates.